Ladies first.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Jean Bruce Scott, and I'm the producing executive director of Native Voices at the Autry, and my role in Off the Rails has been as a dramaturg at one point and a producer.
And my name's Randy Reinholz. I'm the artistic director of Native Voices at the Autry and a professor at San Diego State University and a playwright here at Oregon Shakespeare Festival for Off the Rails. So I'm an enrolled member of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma. I'm also Irish and German by descent. Grandma told the lion's share of the story, so those are the histories I know better.
And I'm Scottish.
You know, it's a complicated story, right? So the simple thing is an Indian boy gets a white girl pregnant. It's the 1880s. Are they going to hang him? So that's the drama. But it's adapted from Shakespeare's Measure for Measure. So we know we're in the hands of a great plot, and it's a comedy. So things are going to end well, we think. So we have a roller coaster of how we get from the original situation that's driving the story, and the young man is being prosecuted by an authoritarian government trying to bring law and order to the Old West. And the good people at the Stewed Prunes saloon are out to figure out if they can help this boy. So we've got Madame Overdone, we've got Isabel, we've got Alexi, and they're trying to figure out what to do. Buffalo Bill's coming to town, so there's a lot of zany stuff happening around. And then we have to go over to that Law and Order place, and it's dangerous over there for everyone involved. So there's a lot of trepidation every time we go to that side of the stage, as it were. Really, it's a kind of story, if we were to tell the boarding school history, one thing is a lot of Americans don't know it happened, the Native American boarding school chapter of American history, the fact that it went on for 50 years. Could our government have a process of killing an Indian to save the man? So that, the more you dive into that from a contemporary point of view, it's one atrocity after another. And it's very hard for people to believe it happened here, much less comprehend the kind of brutality. So telling that story head on seemed like we would only talk to the choir, as it were, a few people. And there's a lot of disagreement in Native American country about, was it only degrading, these boarding schools? People did learn life skills. They did learn friendships and other cultures and other ways of looking at things that made the society stronger. So there's not even agreement about that particular thing. So looking at the boarding school, is there a way we could have it off in the distance, as it were? And as we started looking at different boarding schools, we started to see that there was actually a place in Genoa, Nebraska, that there are historical photos that we're going to use in the production of the Pawnee earthen lodges, which held between 30 and 40 members of a family. And there was this one photo of 11 lodges. And way off in the distance is this European-style boarding school. And Americans are very visual learners. Those things existed at the same time, and there are people standing on those Pawnee lodges in traditional clothing, but then there's that European push coming. And how's it going to work out? And I think we're very afraid right now of immigrants in our country, and what are we going to do with this tension? And so we wanted to tell a story that was from history that's about now.
Well, we are in what is currently seen as the seventh generation, and that's a very pivotal moment in Native American history. And so one of the things that we started to explore with our ensemble at Native Voices were the boarding schools. We had members in the ensemble who had parents and grandparents who had been through the boarding school systems. And so we started to look for first-person narratives, videos, and any kind of scholarly book that we could. We had quite a bibliography, and all 42 ensemble members read all of the books. And one of the things that we discovered was that the difficulty of the stories, because again, it was the idea of killing the Indian to save the man. They were stripping these children, some as young as 4 years old, of their families, of their language, of their culture, of anything they knew. And the picture that Randy mentioned about with the earthen lodges and the school in the background, eventually those earthen lodges were cleaned out, and all of those Pawnee were sent to Oklahoma. And the idea was to take them as far away from their tribal land and their people as possible so that they would not have those connections. Well, that has had repercussions for generation after generation after generation. And Randy said that it was a 50-year process. It was actually longer than that, but that the true the most difficult time was about a 50-year length of time. Coming out of a military corporal punishment, strip you of everything you knew from home and turn you into something somebody else thought you should be system, does not always give you the best outcome in terms of either the individual or the person moving forward and starting a family. And then we look at broken families and difficulties on reservations and across the nation in Indian country, particularly from the 50s till even recently. And we say, well, why do these things exist? Why can't they just leave the reservation? Why can't they pull themselves up? Well, the tools have not been yet fully given. And so at the end of the play, what we have is the agency of the 6 Native characters within the play who are resilient, who do say, we need to do some of this ourselves. We need to take control of our lives, our education, our culture. And that has been happening. And so now we have healthier communities. We have more opportunities to teach language. We're going back and we're recovering languages that have been lost. Powwow and traditional dancing is on an upswing again, and which is all wonderful. And that's another reason to do this play. It's to augment all of those good things that are happening in Indian country, and to say Native people are resilient. Native people are smart. They have their own cultures. They get to decide who and what they are.
And we've got work to do.
And there's still work to do.
So the tragicomedy, right? I mean, we're going to have fun. We're going to have this subplot of people getting their Western art ready for Buffalo Bill coming to town. It's all performative. So rope tricks and Buffalo Bill kind of, tomahawk throwing and rope tricks and, I don't know.
Traditional dancing.
We've got bullwhips. We've got all kinds of just like fun, wacky stuff that people would have done to entertain themselves. We've got song. Yeah, we've got song, and everybody's letting down a little bit. We're not in their everyday life at home. They've come to town to have a good time, and by gosh, today's the day. So that's the fun part. And the rough part is this piece of American history that as Americans I think we're ashamed of. And we don't know what to do, so we do what people do when they're ashamed. We try to ignore it. Right? And so let's shine a light right on it. And theater's great for that. Let's paint it red, put it in the middle of the room, and let's look at it. And let's say, what happened? And what am I culpable for? What are my grandparents culpable for? And how do we change the repercussions of those actions? We're culpable for them. Like the Middle East. I mean, there's there's a long list of things we're culpable for. So we have to take action somewhere in our life. We don't necessarily have to flog ourselves and carry a kind of guilt that's so overwhelming. It's debilitating. We should take action to make the world better. We're going to have robust arguments about what that is. And we participate.
The robust arguments are actually in the play.
Right.
So there are 6 Native characters, and they all come at this moment of change and crisis from different directions. And so that's very important. We want to say there have to be, all of the voices need to be in the room. And that's how we get to the other side.
The music in the play is very much like the play itself. We have a Gaelic song that the young woman sings to the young man who's imprisoned, and he answers in Pawnee because they can't see each other. It's just through the prison window that she sings in her language and he sings in his language. We have crazy musical theater numbers. Buffalo Bill's coming. Let's get. So we have that kind of fun. We have soulful Irish numbers. Blues numbers. We have a couple different native traditional songs. We have a bawdy showstopper, a little like Madeline Kahn in Blazing Saddles. It's fun, tongue in the cheek. Kids are gonna love it. It's not something that's so racy that it's like, oh, please cover their eyes. So it's kind of all over the place and ambitious.